The Hyundai Ioniq 5 Dynamiq is a surprisingly stylish EV that manages to capture the future with its styling, but is an easy car to operate. Yet, in a growing EV market, this has some serious competition, like its cousin, the Kia EV6, and the ever-popular Tesla Model Y. So what makes this medium SUV stand out? Well, I've been driving it for the last week with my family of three to find out for you. The Dynamiq is the base model and will cost you around $72,000 before on-road costs, which does put it at a similar price point to its rivals. What I like about it though is that despite it being a base model, it's quite well specified. So you don't get in and feel like it's a base model. And I think that's important when you're at this price point. The only problem you're going to find is trying to find one because the supply isn't great at the moment. I like the dual 12.3-inch screens that headline the dashboard, the heated front seats, and the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But a special note for the heated seats, there's no dedicated button in this control panel. You have to access it via the touchscreen, which I didn't actually like. And to be honest, I didn't use it that much because I kept on forgetting it was even there. The full specs are in my written review at carsguide.com.au if you want more details. I really like the interior design of this cabin, and it would rank in my top 3 of the EVs that I've sampled. The synthetic white leather trims with the linen and the ample soft touch points throughout makes this a very light and airy cabin to be in. The dual screens add some tech cred, but it's the ambient lighting that really transforms this space. I've said it before, but ambient lighting is such a relatively cheap and easy way to elevate a cabin space, and it's very effective in here. The exterior doesn't quite match the plush aesthetic of the cabin, but it does look quite futuristic with the sharp detailing in the body paneling and these cool pixel LEDs of the taillights. The stepped and squared LED design adds something really cool here, and overall I do like the design of this one. It is dead set roomy in here. I have plenty of head, leg, and elbow room. And I love the storage options. There's plenty of them, which is great in a family car. This pocket perfectly fit my handbag, and I also really like that there's an additional storage tray in the middle console. Plus, you've got a cool pull-out drawer for the glove box. The seats are wide and very comfortable. I love the lumbar support and that both are electric. The seat trim, while I personally quite like it, I do think though that it could wear a bit quicker when you have younger children around. My 6-year-old is of an age where I can limit too much damage from happening, but a younger child might make it wear quickly. The tech has been easy to use, and I like that the touchscreen is responsive and looks good. Also has built-in sat-nav, which is always a plus. I was disappointed though that it only has wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. For an EV, this feels like a curious choice. The USB-A port that you use for it as well is also located down here and not in the middle console, where at least you could hide the trailing cable. The charging options are good though, with another 2 USB-A ports plus a 12-volt port in this middle console and a wireless charging pad. It's interesting though that there's no USB-C port, which does offer a faster charging option. I've enjoyed having the head-up display and it's super clear, which is great. However, the digital instrument panel isn't customizable and does get a bit boring to look at after a while. I also switched over the lighting theme to dark because otherwise it can feel like you've just got a piece of paper on the dashboard. The back seat has loads of room just like the front, and I really love how comfortable the seats are. I also like how the floor is flat because it means that middle seat passengers get the same comfort as the outboard passengers. The amenities are a little bit lean back here, but you don't notice straight away because of how pleasing the cabin looks. I did like though that you've got 2 USB-A ports and directional air vents in the B pillar. Plus, always handy having a hardened kick plate for little feet. The storage options aren't as great as the front, but still adequate for family use. The outboard seats have ISOFIX child seat mounts, and there are 3 top tethers. You might get lucky and fit 3 skinny seats side by side, but 2 seats will probably fit best. And there's plenty of room for a 0 to 4 rearward facing child seat to be installed too. It was easy to fit my harness booster seat, and my 6-year-old had no issue getting in and out of this car and enjoyed a great view out of the wide window. The only thing he struggled with was closing the rear doors, For some reason, he really needed to slam it closed, otherwise it didn't latch properly. The front storage is bigger than most at 57 litres and a great size to hold all of your charging cables and the puncture repair kit for the tyres, because you don't get a spare tyre in this. A cool feature is the close proximity opening of the boot. So if you're heading towards the rear of your car and you have the key fob on your person, the boot will automatically open for you if you stand there long enough. The boot is decently sized at 527 litres, and the boot aperture is actually quite wide, but it's sloped, meaning you will have to get a little bit picky when it comes to fitting in bulkier items. It's been fantastic having a powered tailgate this week, and I've loved the level load space, perfect on my grocery runs. The Dynamiq is a full EV and has a single motor that has a maximum output of 168 kilowatts and 350 newton meters of torque. Now that's up by 8 kilowatts per hour from the 2022 version, which means when you put your foot down, you get a decent kick. This is powered by a relatively large 77.4 kilowatts per hour lithium ion battery, which is up 4.8 kilowatts per hour for the 2023 version. But you can still get from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in a zippy 7.3 seconds. Let's talk charging. The charging port is a Type 2, but all charging ports except an emergency AC adapter do cost extra, which does feel a little bit cheeky considering the car's price tag. Plus, I wouldn't be relying on the emergency home use one because it takes up to 35 hours to charge. The onboard DC charger has up to 350 kilowatts of capacity. Now that means that when you plug it into a 50 kilowatt charging station, you can achieve from 10% to a full charge in just 73 minutes. I didn't achieve that this week. It took a lot longer when I plugged it in, but that is the claim. But it also means that if you do happen to charge it on an ultra-fast 350 kilowatt charging station, you can achieve it in just 18 minutes. Now, not all EVs can actually accept that charging speed, so that's great. The official energy consumption is 17 kilowatts per hour per 100 kilometers. My onboard test figure came to 18.3 kilowatts per hour. That's after a mix of urban and open road driving. It's not as efficient as some other EVs on the road though. It makes up for it though with the driving range, which comes to 507 kilometers. That's up 26 kilometers from the 2022 version, which is great. However, I still had a little bit of range anxiety this week, and I think that's contributed mostly to the local fast charger being always in use. I did have a moment where I literally was coasting in on the fumes to charge up. At lower speeds, the EV is actually quite loud, a lot louder than I'm used to. But at higher speeds, you don't hear the engine. And I really love how much power you get in this. It's a pleasant sense. And when you put your foot down, you still feel like there's power in reserve, which is great. Following a ride and handling retune for 2023, the ride comfort is generally pretty good. But I did find that at higher speeds, there's lots of shuddering and vibration through the seats and steering wheel, which I didn't like. And even my husband made a comment that this would not be a super comfortable long road tripper. This can feel a little bit unsure of itself at higher speeds, where it's almost a bit floaty on the road. Coupled with the very assertive lane keeping aids, and it can chip away at your confidence at what it's doing on the road. You can customize the regen braking to up to 4 levels, 0 being low regen and 4 being the I-pedal. I didn't mind the I-pedal this week. I thought it was fairly responsive in an urban setting, but I still prefer using a brake, so I mostly kept it at level 3. I also kept the drive mode in Eco. I usually find that mode produces an almost anemic driving experience, but not so in this. Pretty good. This has an almost 12-meter turning circle, and you do notice that in a car park, but it's still relatively easy to park. You've got great parking sensors and a really super clear 360-degree view camera, which is honestly top-notch. Great feature. This has a good safety list that I always like to see in a family car, and I really loved seeing the blind spot view camera monitor, which feeds a camera view into your dashboard whenever you indicate. It's a really great feature in the city. The Ioniq 5 was awarded a maximum 5-star ANCAP safety rating in 2021. It only has 7 airbags, but that does include the front center airbag. The full safety specs are in my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au if you need more details. The Ioniq 5 comes with a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which is a standard term for the class. However, it does come with a battery warranty of up to 8 years or 160,000 kilometres, whichever occurs first, which is pretty good. The first 3 services are capped at $2,230 in total, which is quite expensive for the class. However, servicing intervals are more in line with what you can expect from EVs at the moment at every 24 months or 30,000 kilometres, whichever occurs first. I've really enjoyed a lot of aspects for the Hyundai Ioniq 5 Dynamiq this week. I think the cabin looks really great, and I loved the storage options and family-friendly space inside. I would have preferred a longer driving range for a family car, and I didn't always love how it handled itself on the open road, but this is definitely a city dweller and it handles that situation quite well. So this gets a 7.5 out of 10 from my family. If you're after more details, check out the full review at carsguide.com.au, and I'll see you next week.